silent war is raging in the Horn of Africa. Not fought with bullets alone, but with billions of dollars, secret ports, and shadow armies. Ethiopia, once Africa's rising star, is now a battleground for foreign empires. The UAE, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Turkey, they're all pulling the strings, exploiting ethnic divisions and fueling a chaotic free-for-all. But why? And what happens if Ethiopia, a nation of over 110 million people, collapses? This isn't just Ethiopia's crisis. It's a preview of a larger conflict, fought not in Europe, but in the deserts and highlands of East Africa. Foreign empires, hungry for resources and power, are tearing nations apart. And if the world doesn't pay attention, the Horn of Africa, a region teeming with potential and plagued by instability, will explode and millions will pay the price. The prize? The Red Sea. This strategic corridor controls 10% of global trade. Oil tankers, container ships, they all flow through this narrow passage. For nations like the UAE, it's existential. Their string of pearls strategy, a network of ports stretching from Yemen to Eritrea, secures their lifeline to Europe and Asia. But Saudi Arabia, not wanting to be outmaneuvered, has its own ambitions, launching its own Red Sea alliance, often excluding the UAE. This rivalry is a key driver of the chaos consuming Ethiopia. The Red Sea has become a critical arena for competition, a geopolitical chessboard where Gulf states, Turkey, and Horn of Africa countries jostle for power. Enter Ethiopia. Landlocked and hungry for access to the sea, it becomes a crucial pawn. Its vulnerability, its desire for a port, makes it both an opportunity and a threat. The UAE, sensing an advantage, pushes Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed to take a gamble, a huge gamble. In 2018, the world celebrated a miracle. Ethiopia and Eritrea, bitter enemies for decades, suddenly made peace. Smiles, handshakes, promises of a new era. Abiy Ahmed, the peacemaker, even won the Nobel Peace Prize. But behind the curtain, this deal wasn't just about brotherhood. It was about survival and strategic advantage. The UAE and Saudi Arabia brokered that peace. Why? Their primary objective was to install a more compliant leader in place of the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF. For years, the TPLF had dominated Ethiopian politics, a powerful, sometimes brutal force with a complex legacy. They maintained strong ties with Qatar and Turkey, rivals of the Gulf monarchies. The Gulf states wanted them gone, so they bankrolled Abiy, Ethiopia's new reformer, and pushed him to make peace with Eritrea, TPLF's mortal foe. A masterstroke, or so they thought. The UAE allegedly even backed Abiy and Eritrea with drones during the Tigray War. By the end of 2022, a severely weakened TPLF signed a peace deal with Abiy's Ethiopia in Pretoria, with the US playing a heavy hand. But Abiy, perhaps seeking to consolidate power, had other plans. In 2023, he turned against Eritrea, provocatively threatening to take Assab by force. His threats didn't stop there. Somalia and Djibouti also found themselves in his crosshairs. This dramatic shift in alliances threw the region into turmoil. Observers were baffled. Why was Abiy risking so much? Some argued he was using external conflicts to distract from the internal pressure mounting from Fano and Ole forces in Amhara and Oromia. But the real trigger wasn't domestic. It was brewing in the Gulf. A growing rift between Saudi Arabia and the UAE played a key role. Determined to secure Abiy's loyalty, the UAE poured billions into Ethiopia. Now, Abiy is repaying the favor by playing spoiler against the member countries of Saudi-led Red Sea Security Council, which notably excluded the UAE. Now the chessboard is crowded. Turkey, a rising power sensing an opportunity, arms Somalia while simultaneously attempting to mediate the dispute between Somalia and Ethiopia. This puts them directly at odds with the UAE. Egypt, fearing the impact of Ethiopia's massive Nile Dam on its water supply, a potential life-or-death situation for millions of Egyptians, threatens war. The US and European powers watch nervously, trying to balance strategic interests with the looming threat of another failed African state. The Gird, a symbol of Ethiopian ambition, has become a major flashpoint, exacerbating tensions and drawing in regional and international actors. But the real time bomb? Eritrea. President Isaias Afwerki, a wily and ruthless leader, hasn't forgotten Abiy's betrayal. He's reportedly allied with Egypt and Somalia, forming a counter-alliance against Ethiopia. Abiy is now actively harboring an Eritrea opposition group called Brigade Nahamadu by providing them with resources, training, and potentially arms. Reports also suggest Eritrea is supporting and training to Ethiopian rebel groups. Both Abiy's Ethiopia and Isaias's Eritrea are playing dangerous games, fueling internal conflicts and exacerbating ethnic tensions. Ethiopia isn't just a pawn, it's disintegrating. Abiy's regime is struggling, facing economic hardship and internal strife. The country is defaulting on several external loans. Inflation is soaring, ethnic militias are running rampant, and foreign powers are exploiting every crack. What Abiy perhaps didn't fully grasp is that the UAE's investment was never about charity. It bought loyalty. Ethiopia is now at odds with nearly all its neighbors. The dream of a unified, prosperous Ethiopia is fading fast, replaced by the grim reality of internal conflict and external manipulation. And the human cost is immense. Millions are displaced, facing famine and human rights abuses. The humanitarian crisis is spiraling out of control. This isn't just Ethiopia's crisis. It's a preview of a larger conflict, fought not in the developed countries, but in the deserts and highlands of East Africa. Foreign empires, hungry for resources and power, are tearing nations apart. And if the world doesn't pay attention, the Horn of Africa will explode, and millions will pay the price. Who's pulling the strings in your country? What's at stake in this shadow war? Let us know in the comments below. For more in-depth coverage on the Horn of Africa and the Middle East, subscribe to our channel.